Most traders on WallStreetBets are absolutely certain they can make huge amounts of money despite lacking the special ingredient, the spice, the strategy. But in the depths of WallStreetBets, it was written long ago that there will come the one, the trader from the outer world. He will overcome immense struggles of having a negative balance on his account to finally mastering his strategy and becoming a millionaire. But first, it is my honor to present to a trader who goes by the name of Weak332. He lost 80k within 6 years of trading, or actually within 7 years of trading, and in that time his account was mostly slowly falling until it took a nosedive, and just as fast as it went down it came back up, giving him hope of a comeback. Because you see, in that hole he was down by 82% or $64,500 and was left with about 13k, and just when he was gonna give up he made a huge gain, cutting his loss to just $44,000. He was out by 17k that month and 10k that week, and then he said the infamous last words: never give up just when you think it's over. He was still down by 45k overall, but still he thought he'd make it all back by the end of the year, and while he was slowly losing money he was also trading futures, more specifically ES futures. In his separate 5k account he has only taken 2 trades a day and was up by 8k in the past 2 weeks. But despite his newly found hope, his account crashed back to the bottom, making him a 99% or a $79,112 loss and leaving him with just $128.06. How he achieved such greatness? Well, he simply had no strategy. He just bought puts or calls when he thought it was on the top or the bottom, and after losing such a huge amount of money you'd expect that emotions played a major part in his journey. But here's the thing, he has no emotion to trading. Made 3k on the day? Cool. Lost 3k on the day? Also cool. So today he starts with only $100 in his account and will make his losses back by the end of the year. Just wait. But you see, it actually doesn't matter how low you fall. You can always get back up. You just have to have an actual working strategy. That's the key difference separating geniuses destined to make millions from mortals destined to lose their life savings. And with that, it is my honor to present to a trader whose journey will sadly inspire thousands trying to follow his path. He goes by the name of Zoom1132, and he just hit a massive 10-bagger, turning just 60k into $600,000, which put him at 2 commas. Yes, he brought his account to $1,044,162.01, but what if I told you that just a little over a year ago he didn't just lose all his money, no, he even went into the negative. On January 2nd, 2023, he was down by $98,467.61, with his account being worth negative $3,106.22. And we'll go into details of his absolutely improbable feat, but first we have to go back 3 years when he started trading with about $100,000. His first public play was an 11x gain on Nvidia calls. He bought these contracts on May the 19th on the dip as an earnings play, and he held them for just 2 weeks, making $32,000. Then he hit a second 10-bagger of the month on Adobe calls, as he bought these contracts on June the 2nd, basically the same day of him closing the Nvidia position, and it took him just 3 weeks to turn about $5,000 into $55,000. Needless to say, he was hooked on options. But right after these 2 insane gains he started losing a lot. But refusing to post his losses, he went quiet for a year and a half, hitting an all-time low and achieving what only a few dare to even think about, dropping into the negative. Obviously most would quit at this point, but he was simply not going to allow this to be his end. So yeah, he had a stupid year and was basically broke at the start of 2023, and then suddenly AMD started to take off. Somehow he hit 2 early 10-baggers on AMD as he exercised first 10 of the calls and Adobe last spring. He actually bought about 20 Adobe calls on May the 12th, when the stock was trading at just $335, and he honestly couldn't have timed it better because the stock started rallying right after, going up by almost 50% in just a month. But sadly he sold a bit earlier on May the 26th, although he still turned just $5,100 into $66,600. And here we get the first hint of his strategy. He bought on technicals and wasn't wrong. It bounced into the stratosphere as planned. He thought it's a good company, was still undervalued, and was planning to buy back in before the earnings report. But despite that, he managed to buy 500 shares of Meta with the proceeds, and that put him at about $240,000 to start the year this year. And not stopping at shares, he bought 60 Meta calls with a strike price at $450 expiring in March. Once again, he opened the position because of technicals. On top of that, Meta hasn't quit since it turned around at $90. They are posting record profits and even added a dividend. They pay their devs more than any other company in the valley and have for years, for the purpose of attracting the best talent. Say what you want about the metaverse being stupid, but he actually thinks the shift was just premature. When it hits and the company shifts, it'll be massive. Their sister stock, if there is one, is probably Google, and that's still valued $500 billion higher than Meta. He still thinks Meta is undervalued and thinks it'll hit $600 this year. Well, he wrote those calls through earnings, which really gave him a load of cash, and then he put most of that into Micron calls expiring in about a month and cashed them out today, making about $600,000 and bringing his account to over $1 million. And for anyone trying to get to his level, here is his advice. Learn the terminology from Khan Academy, which is online for free. There is classes that explain options. There is classes to explain how to read earnings reports and understand financial statements. Great free resource to start. Also buy and read any book by or about Jesse Livermore and top-down trading technical analysis. Buy and read The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham and create at least a 5-stock watch list for each of the 11 S&P sectors and their top 5 holdings. Do this to watch and learn how the market moves as a whole. Practice in a paper trade account, and finally just lose. Yes, lose money trying to implement the above for a few years. Now about the technicals. He isn't using anything too fancy, just watching for abnormal volume in a downtrend near round stock price numbers or relevant market cap milestones. Also, he's made sure to have a pretty good total market view most days, as he wants to spot real trouble if the indexes turn. That being said, this last sell-off was scary when it got caught up in the Nvidia profit-taking event. It had its worst day in a long time. However, volume was low, there was no news, and it held lower resistance. His guess was people didn't want to risk the TikTok ban vote. And another very important thing about his strategy is that he doesn't touch 0 days till expiry options. Usually he's looking to create a bell curve out of theta, which just basically means he usually buys 3 to 4 months out, and he buys when the stock is down, and he usually picks a strike price based on where the all-time high has proven there to be buyers recently. But you see, I wasn't completely honest with you for clickbait purposes. I just hope you forgive me. His account was actually negative because he took the money out to buy a house. In reality, he started with around 40k, so technically it was 42k to $1,085,000. Now the funny thing is, this isn't his first rodeo. His best friend and college roommates are all CPA auditors. He's done his own taxes his whole life and understands this stuff more than most people in this thread think they do. So even though he made $1 million, he's not paying his house off yet. That's dumb. The 200k it would take to do that can make him 10k a year sitting in a sweep account. And obviously he isn't planning to stop. Not now when he's finally up by a lot. His end goal is to double this, then buy homes and live off of rental income until he dies. But he at least plans to take a nap on leverage for a few years. No more margin. No more earnings for a bit. He's just going to hold his stocks and sweep interest until he gets as by the IRS next spring. Having that said, his next play is on AMD calls expiring in June and some Adobe shares, while he's also watching the energy sector for a breakout. And if you want to see the absolute addiction to YOLO, click on the video just popped up. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe, and if you have any questions or recommendations, leave in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.